Now I would like to introduce to you one of our former youth organizers and former youth history ambassadors, Ms. Sarah Adams.
You could certainly say that I grew up in an activist household. I could talk about sitting in the back of community meetings, coloring, or playing outside on the grassy area of the Federal Building with my sister while rallies were taking place. I could talk about the community dinners my mom would host, creating a safe space for all. Or I could talk about the time my dad went to Ferguson for what felt like forever. Community is what I was raised around. My name is Sarah Adams. I always knew what my parents were doing was important, but it was a while before I became interested in learning more myself. I was actually a really quiet and shy kid for a long time. Around 4th grade, I started to break out of my shell, and by the time I hit 6th grade, I wasn't shy anymore. I had an amazing teacher. He made all of us feel connected and excited to come to school. From taking popular rap songs and remixing them to be about something we were learning, to giving us the tools to make our own mini documentary about a community issue we chose. He made learning fun and relevant, and he pushed us to go the extra mile. This is the type of learning experience that every student in our district needs and deserves. He was also one of the dozens of teachers that got that slip in December of 2019, saying that because our district had mismanaged millions, he would be without a job before the school year was over. This would not have happened in one of the surrounding suburban districts. And it is a reflection of one of the many inequities in our educational system. Angered by the entire situation, we took action. It started as a walkout, and I don't think any of us expected it to go as far as it did. There were thousands of students, and the way we all stood together was powerful. We learned that 1, money was being mismanaged within the district, and 2, that there was foundation aid owed to us that would bring equity across districts. Mr. Wade Norwood said it best in a press conference. Structural racism is literally stealing the breath from the Black community, and that is the bigger picture. During the walkouts, we heard from community. We listened to stories from students and parents who have been impacted by the inequities in our system. We rallied for change, but we also rallied around each other. We fed off of each other's energy, finding joy in spite of the hurt, and taking charge in a system where the ones who are directly affected are often the last people to get a seat at the table. Once I learned the history of the injustices that Black and brown students have experienced in the educational system, once I learned about the fight and the power and the resilience of those who came before me, I understood that knowledge is indeed power when you actualize it. However, I know that I cannot do this work alone. Community and collaboration are imperative to dismantling oppressive systems, and I want to remind you that community and collaborative solutions include youth. We know what we are talking about because we are experiencing it, and the adults in our lives need to see us, recognize our value, invest in it, and uplift us. All young people need an opportunity to find their voice. And once that happens, it benefits everybody. It gives youth a feeling of purpose, making them want to be engaged in positive efforts to create change. And I was lucky enough to be uplifted and supported by so many different people. I had my parents and the community. I was encouraged, and the people I needed to hear it from the most told me I could do it. Then I had TE. Starting as a youth history ambassador, I got to learn about our true history of Rochester, and as well as my own history of who I am. Then, as a youth organizer, I got to learn more about all the steps that come with planning events. I was able to write about the things that make me passionate while sharing it with others. And I got to work with other youth who wanted to create change. I'm in the Teaching and Learning Institute, which is a career and technical education pathway at East High, where I've been exposed to activism through education. And now, as an intern with Assemblymember Damon Meeks, I'm learning more about activism through legislation. All of these experiences have greatly contributed to who I am as a person. And no matter where I end up going or what I end up doing, this part of my story will always guide me. I've seen many sides of activism, and I have learned so much. My hope is that all youth will be able to get these types of experiences and not only be inspired to believe that change will come, but to want to be the ones to want to make it happen. Thank you.